Hello everybody, Rich J. Tilley here. How's everybody doing? Hey, I've been kind of busy lately. I've been rewriting my book from 2 years ago, First Gentleman, and also working on a new one that's coming together slowly but surely called Poetry, Photography, and Prose. I've also been doing a lot of videos lately from my latest trip to the UK. And I also work a full-time job and a part-time job in the evenings on the weekends. So a little busy. I mean, there's 96,200 seconds in a day, right? Or 96,600 maybe. I mean, you got to use every one of them, right? So, but anyway, I have a little competition on this First Gentleman. Apparently, if you can believe it, James Patterson, the #1 author in the world, coupled with Bill Clinton, who we all know who he is, have written a book called First Gentleman. And I decided that I need to redo the front cover of my old book, and I paid a marketing company to do it. I'm real pleased with it. It looks incredible. Here it is. Isn't that nice? And I figured that somebody may buy the book now because of the front cover. And if anybody takes a leap of faith by purchasing the book, I want to make sure that if they read the book inside that front cover, that they are going to be mesmerized by the quality of the work. So I did the best I could 2 years ago, but now I rewrote it to be even better. And I'm very pleased with it. It's coming together really nicely. And may have some competition. So James Patterson, we're going head to head when this book comes out, all right? But I want to read you a chapter, my favorite chapter called Shark Bait. But actually, I'm going to read you the last part of Lightning Strikes Twice, the reason why you need to know about this license plate situation. So one of the characters in the book, the detective named Bernie Sharkey, has found something at the murder scene from 25 years ago that belongs to the first gentleman, who is Will Akers Jr. His wife is Maureen Donaldson Akers. She has just won the election from last night. So this is the Wednesday after the presidential election. They're all half asleep, groggy, and all hell is about to break loose in this chapter. So there's a little bit about the election, which is a little bit boring with the numbers and everything, but some people just love the political part of this book, and they may like that part. But towards the end of the chapter, it's going to ramp up, and you might even gasp at some of the things that you're about to hear. So let's go. Are you ready? I'm going to do my best to read this thing. A little energy juice here. I'm going to rip it out. Here we go. Oh, I got to go back to the end of the chapter here. So they're in this police office running this license plate on this computer. The next morning at the Winfield police station, Old Man Sharkey and Randall is Sharkey's son, by the way, Randall hover over the shoulders of a stressed out data clerk. Detective Sharkey is devouring his third cup of coffee, having tossed and turned all night, too anxious to sleep, watching CNN and thinking about that license plate. The police chief crouches down next to them, wanting to know himself. The room is tense as the data on the screen calculates the results. And then a final piece of information pops up in the window tab. Sharkey blurts out, "Ba-boom!" A chill runs down his spine. I knew it! I frigging knew it! The bastard was there! The license plate is registered to a 1976 Chevy C10 pickup owned by no other than a younger Mr. Will Akers Jr. Randall smiles back at his father. Pop, you still got a nose like a bloodhound. You ain't retiring yet. I think we got a lead here. After settling his caffeine-boosted adrenaline down for a half hour, Bernie Sharkey composes and sends out a text to Will. He suspects the future first gentleman will not be happy that he knew his personal cell phone number, and even more disturbed as he read his shuddering texts sent out to cyberspace. I'll put my glasses on the rest of the way just so I can read the words quicker. Here's the text. Mr. Akers, sir. Detective Sharkey here. I have something that belongs to you. We need to meet again. Urgent matter. No lawyers this time. I will be calling you to set something up. And congratulations on the election win. Call me back if you wish. The Shark. Now we're at Shark Bait, chapter 16 in the new book. One of my favorite chapters. Here we go. On the day after supposedly losing the election, Victoria Blakely is not taking the news very lightly. She is consoling with her dejected campaign team members, encouraging her party to form a committee supporting a legal recounting of votes in Ohio. Overnight, the states of Michigan and Wisconsin had eventually flipped to blue by slim margins, but nevertheless, big electoral wins for the Democrats. The scale-tipping Buckeye State, worth 18 electoral votes, was officially called for the Republicans and had cost her the election. In her mind, the election results were way too close, and she needed to put up one last fight. After listening to Blakely's disingenuous and snarky concession speech in the early hours of the morning, Maureen is trying to sleep in as long as she can, but is awoken again by another ding notification on her sleeping partner's cell phone. She gives Will a stern prod on the shoulder. Honey, you need to check your phone. It's been blowing up all morning. A groggy Will acknowledges the interruption. Yeah, I hear them. Stirring in the covers with his eyes half open, he looks over the missed texts. Most of them are of a congratulatory type, but one alarming message stands out from the rest. He quickly skims over Sharky's typed message. A weird feeling comes over him, but he says nothing to Maureen and pulls the covers back over his head. Will Jr. is physically exhausted. He just wants to rest, and his body feels like he has been hit by a truck. After a thorough 5-day recounting of all the Ohio ballots, state regulatory election officials determined that Victoria Blakely had indeed fallen short by nearly 200,000 votes to Maureen Donaldson Akers. The fight was over, and Blakely was not getting the keys to the White House. The disappointed lady from Connecticut is going to have to carry this crushing defeat with her for the rest of her political career, if she had one left. Having a difficult time soaking up the stark reality, she feels like she has let her side down and the 62 million Americans that had voted for her. The 2016 presidential election went down as one of the closest elections in American history, with the Electoral College results finalizing at 286 to 252. If Blakely had captured the important state of Ohio, she would have earned the highest office in the land with a narrow 270 to 268 win. She questions herself whether she had spent enough time campaigning in the smaller towns outside Cleveland, Dayton, Cincinnati, and Columbus. To distance herself from her misery, Blakely decides to step away and take a much-needed vacation with her family to their exclusive resort in Cozumel, Mexico. The triumphant Maureen and Will Jr. travel back to their golf course community condo in Topeka to decompress. Key players of the winning team, such as Laura Kaczynski and Stephen Bryden Powell, are aggressively sought after by the mainstream media for stimulating sound bites for their post-election television coverage. I'm going to skip this part. They just basically go on TV and say how they won and everything. I want to get to the good stuff. On Fox News. Okay, all right. So let's go back to the voicemail message Will's been getting. He has to respond to them. After the third voicemail message from the persistent and tenacious Detective Sharkey, Will Jr. decides to finally call him back. At his condo, he clicks around through a list of missed incoming calls from his back porch and presses the appropriate saved number history. A voice picks up. "Hello, Detective Sharkey here. It's Will Akers. Sorry, I've been a tad busy." He speaks to Sharkey in a combative, abrasive tone. "How on earth do you have my phone number? And what in the world do you want with me now?" Sharkey is happy to have his prime suspect on the line. "Mr. Akers, sir, thank you for calling me back." He ignores the question about obtaining his private cell phone number. "I need to see you and the president-elect in person regarding a very personal matter." Will Jr. inquires, recalling the strange text he received. "What in God's name are you talking about? What is it? And why no attorneys this time? You know I can't do that. We can't do that. Mr. Akers, I need your help in my investigation of the Austin McCauley cold case. They found the body. You heard about the forensic scientist's findings on the bones, the dental analysis." "Yes, I read something about it. What do we have to do with that?" "Mr. Akers, sir, God, I got the name down. Mr. Akers, sir, I can't tell you what I have in my hand here on the phone. I have to show it to you, and it's urgent that I see you both. I have something very personal that belongs to you, and I need to ask you some pertinent questions about some hard evidence in my case." He pauses. "When and where can we meet?" Will Jr. resists. "I don't have time for this. My God, you are bothering me to no end. Just tell me on the phone now." "I can't do that, sir. Trust me. We need a secure place. No lawyers. No wiretaps. Safe and secure." Will Jr. tries desperately to relieve the pressure. "Let me call you back once I speak to my wife. Your new president." He sarcastically quips. "You know things are a little hectic for us right now." "Yes, sir, I know. It's a confidential matter that could affect the new presidency, too." "When can I expect a call back?" Will Jr. can't contain his annoyance over Sharkey's dramatic and rehearsed feed a mouse a piece of cheese curiosity routine any longer and cuts off the call. "I will call you later. I'm hanging up now. I will not be manipulated. Good day, sir." Will Jr. slams his cell phone on the patio table, staring out at the perfectly manicured golf course. His eyes catch the autumn leaves falling from the birch and elm trees in the wind, and they remind him of a deck of fragile playing cards falling from the sky. Shit. His heart races. He is thinking his house of cards might be crumbling. He grabs his cell phone and heads inside. Will Jr. had already tipped off Maureen about the aggravating text that he had been receiving from Sharkey. After a conversation with his wife, he calls the detective back again, and they agree to meet each other at their heavily guarded condo. Sharkey informs Will Jr. over the phone that his son, Randall, will be accompanying him on the trip. "Fine, whatever," snorts Will Jr. A few days later, Bernie and Randall Sharkey fly into Topeka Airport and are picked up in a black-tinted window, government-issued GMC SUV and escorted back to the Akers residence. Upon arriving, 4 Secret Service agents frisk the visitors and coerce Sharkey into opening his trusty leather briefcase. All the agents see inside the case is a large manila folder, paperwork, and some pens. They give him a nod indicating all clear. Randall and Sharkey are escorted through the door and see Will Jr. and Maureen sitting at a dining table waiting for them. There are no attorneys present, to Sharkey's surprise. As the 2 detectives approach one of the nation's most powerful couple, if not the most powerful, Will Jr. initiates the interaction. "Please sit down. Enjoy a bottle of water if you like. You guys have about 20 minutes. The on-edge first gentleman can't wait to find out what it is all about. He snips. So, detective, you're here in my damn living room. What do you have that's mine? Randall grabs a water bottle. Sharky politely skips on the beverage offering, setting his briefcase in between his legs on the floor, and looks across the dining table. Thank you for speaking with us. I'll get to that in a minute. I know you are more than super busy right now. We won't be here for long. Congratulations on the election win, Mom. Maureen obliges the compliment with a cordial thank you. Detective Sharkey explains that he wanted to meet them before everybody gets even busier for the Thanksgiving holiday, and mentions that he and Randall's family usually fly to his home base in Naples for this time of year. They are planning on heading south in a few days for a 2-week vacation in the Florida sun. Sharkey is thankful for the timing of their meeting, and after one last bit of small talk, jumps right into his crucial agenda. As you know, my son and I have been doing some extra surveillance and investigative work for the Winfield Police Department regarding the Austin Mack cold file case. We have both visited Camp Kickapoo and Devil's Pond on more than one occasion. Keeping things moving in a direct way, he discloses, I know you attended the summer camp as a young boy in the 70s, sir, but that's not where my questions today pertain to. Will Jr. is confused. Devil's Pond? Sharkey attempts to clarify. Yes, sir, it's a sunken pond outside of Winfield, Kansas, surrounded by trees, murky brown water, about 20-30 minutes northwest. Have you ever been there? In a millisecond, Will Jr.'s mind is hastily trying to analyze what is currently happening in his private dining table. He hesitates, suddenly realizing that Sharkey has visited the scene of the murder. Unaware of the renaming of the location, he deduces that he is talking about the pond where Austin Mack went missing. His reflex reaction is to deny the whereabouts. No, I'm not familiar with it. The cunning detective acts perplexed. You're not? No, sir, I'm not. Well, I find that very interesting because that is where we found a very personal ID belonging to you. Will Jr.'s face flushes red as he begins to stumble on his words. You found one of my ID? Like, what, like an old ID, school ID or something? Or Will Jr.'s brainwaves are now pulsating, trying to guess what Sharkey may know. He is wondering what might he have on him. Nothing comes to mind as his nagging walnut-sized lump in his throat feels like it has grown to the size of a cantaloupe. Maureen, like everyone else in the room, can feel her husband's body temperature rising as the tension mounts. Sharkey asks a follow-up question about the pond. Mr. Akers, sir, before I show you the ID, let me ask you again, just to be clear. Are you saying that you have never visited the area called Devil's Pond? Will Jr. looks over at his wife beside him, reaching for a lifeline. No, I mean, I may have. I can't place it. I really have no idea what you're talking about. May I show you what is in my briefcase, sir? Please do. I can't stand this game you're playing any longer. Can we stop horsing around? Sharkey fools with his briefcase, stumbling with a lock combination sequence. He nervously presses the brass latch on one side and pulls out a metal object from the manila envelope. Did you drive a 76 Chevy C10 pickup truck back in the day? In 1985, to be exact? Will Jr.'s face turns from red to sheet white, watching Sharkey carefully presenting the weathered Kansas license plate. He recognizes the lettering and the numbers on it, and his stomach drops to the floor. Where did you get that? The place where you claim you have never been, sir. Devil's Pond. Randall observes his silky smooth father at work. Sharky is in his element, smirking. Will Jr.'s mind flashes between scenes of hightailing it out of the rim of the woods in darkness to carrying a dead, lifeless body on his shoulders. He remembers the clang of something falling out of the back of his truck and seeing headlights in the distance. Internally, he is panicking, thinking, "Oh my God, he's got me." It dawns on him that the noise he heard that night was the plate falling off the truck. That's why he noticed it was missing at the car wash at K-State. Randall and Sharky sit staring at their frenzied suspect, squirming around in his chair across the table with eyes darting around. Abruptly, Will Jr.'s worried demeanor completely changes from a sliver of desperate determination as he fights for a way out of his boxed-in predicament. "Okay, Columbo. Bravo. That is my old truck plate. I have no idea how you have it, but how do we know that you found it at the pond, the fishing hole, or wherever? You could have found it on the road anywhere, or even at the grounds of Camp Kickapoo. The road is bumpy there too, like real bumpy. And I was there, many times in the old truck, I admit that. You guys have no proof that you found that plate at Devil's Pond. This is all a load of bullshit. Where'd you really find it?" Detective Sharky feels like he's getting outdueled by a slick trial lawyer, yet clearly a guilty man, because what Will Jr. is saying is right and correct. It was true. They have no proof that the plate was discovered at the pond rim. Feeling like he is losing control with his angle, he abruptly switches to attack mode. "Here's what I think happened, Mr. Akers." Takes a sip from his water. "I think you stumbled across your old friend, the quarterback, at the pond by some crazy stroke of fate. I think you were both there. We've interviewed his buddies from that night. They say Austin Mack stayed behind because he was too drunk to move, and when they got back, he was gone. Just disappeared. I think you two saw each other and got into a fist fight, or you kidnapped him, took him far away in your truck, tied him up or something, or knifed him. It's true, isn't it? I think something went terribly wrong." "No, sir, that's absolutely ridiculous." Sharky continues with his accusations, trying to smoke out a confession. "This scumbag that you hated for a long time, stole your girlfriend, didn't he? He made you total your late brother's muscle car. His clowns told me that too." Sharky gets more intense, knowing he's running out of time to say what he wants to say. "You had motive, Will. You gave him what he had coming to him. He took your woman. She committed suicide over this prick. Something very dark and sinister happened that night at that hole. You know it. Tell us," he yells. "Tell us. It's time to come clean." Will Jr. is frozen to his chair, speculating how on earth the detective knows all these details. Maureen is studying every man's body language in complete shock and awe. Sharky comes at Will Jr. again, who is having trouble speaking and breathing. "You absolutely detested that rich kid. You took him out, didn't you? How'd you kill him, Will? How'd you kill him?" The first gentleman explodes and points dramatically at the door. "Get the hell out of my house. Leave now. How dare you come into my home with this preposterous, fucked up theory? You've lost it. Mentally. You're just an old dog now that's watched too many HBO movies. You've got some kind of nerve here. Get your stuff and kindly vacate the premises." Sharky places the license plate back in the briefcase and hurries across the room, trailed by a mesmerized Randall. He looks over his shoulder at Will. "You're in big trouble, Mr. Akers. The next time you see me, I will be watching the authorities arresting you." "You're out of your fucking mind," cusses Will Jr. "You have nothing. You hear me? Nothing." Sharky is startled by Will Jr.'s hands lunging 2 inches from his back and warns him, "Find yourself a good defense lawyer, Mr. Akers, because I'm coming for you." You will not see a courtroom again. Your career is over. I'll make sure of that. Now get out. Get the fuck out. This volcanic outburst was the angriest Maureen had ever seen her husband the whole time she had known him. Will Jr. calls over the Secret Service agents outside the entrance who had heard raised voices from the inside. Take these two gentlemen back to the airport or wherever they're going right now. They are not welcome here. Will Jr. slams the door and spins around to see his wife staring at him. She confronts her livid husband and plans on also comforting him. Will, my love, sit down, honey. Calm down. She rests her hand softly on Will's shoulder. You need a drink. Actually, let's move to the back patio. I could use one too. She heads over to the liquor cabinet. I'll meet you out there. Maureen's female intuition has revealed the truth to her already, but she just needs to hear it right from her husband's mouth. They both sit down across from each other in the outside patio furniture. She hands her husband a healthy pour of their best bourbon. You harmed that boy, didn't you? Something went wrong. How the hell does this guy have your license plate, Will? Will Jr. does not know what to say. He remains still and truly raging from within, dumbfounded in silence. Maureen is reading his face and begins to cry over the stressful accusations from the detective. Will Jr. gets up, wanting to leave the scene. Will, you can't. You can't leave. Listen to me. Sit down, please. What? Will. She pauses. Okay. Me first. Hear me out. I am so sorry to have let you down. We need to talk about our past. Will wonders what's coming unglued from his wife's conscience. The rumors with Pete and I, it's true. I did sleep with Pete Gresham. Many times. I had an ongoing affair with him for 4 years. I wish it wasn't true. Forgive me, I made a big mistake. Will Jr. is beyond furious, thinking about how one pleasant fall day went to hell in a handbasket so quickly. His wife's eyes are boring into his soul. Your turn. Out with it. Will Jr.'s top lip begins to quiver uncontrollably as he plucks up the courage to reveal the entire series of events from his dark past to his unsuspecting wife. He begins to talk. The old bastard is correct. We did show up at the same time. Austin Mack was there. He started running his mouth as usual. Said some really cruel things about me and my former girlfriend. He just set me off. I turned into some kind of rabid beast. Unfathomable words begin to fall out of her husband's mouth. Maureen listens without interruption, but is mortified as the details of the heinous crime are disclosed. All of Will Jr.'s suppressed guilt bubbles to the surface. She can tell that he is so dreadfully sorry for his actions, but at the same time so incredibly hurt by her infidelity confession. Trembling and shaking, Will Jr. vents in anger, switching his thoughts back to what she just told him. How can you do this to me? I sacrificed my entire career for you. Do this to me? Do this to me? Maureen repeats and screams back. And you pick this moment after we win the presidency to tell me what you just told me? She yells, I will not be ruined by this. An hour passes by, downing 3 or 4 cocktails each. They both confess in deeper detail to the skeletons they have both been hiding in their secret closets. Their insides are torn up and destroyed, but their disclosures are strangely invigorating. Maureen taps into her diffusion skills and convinces Will that they will handle this like grown adults and reminds him of their close journey that they have been on for the past year. Will, We're in this together, honey. It's bad, very bad, but we can get through this. In a much calmer state, she tells Will Jr., "You're a wonderful husband and father. The past is not going to change that." Maureen breaks the mood, leaving Will to contemplate the options alone on the patio in a tipsy state. And in a tipsy state calls her chief of staff, Frank Scarmuzzi, who was working in Washington, D.C. "I need to get you out here to Kansas ASAP. We need to talk. There's been a bit of an incident. Shit has hit the fan. Only you can fix it." The loyal to a fault ex-soldier asks no further questions and informs his new female boss that he will be on a flight the very next day. Scarmuzzi flies into Topeka, and Maureen and he conduct a covert one-on-one meeting in a downtown parking garage. Nobody but the two of them is privy to the conversation that took place between them. 2 weeks later, Maureen and Will Jr. are invited to a debriefing consultation at the CIA headquarters in D.C. They are scheduled to meet with Scarmuzzi on the Monday after Thanksgiving weekend at 10:45 a.m., and Will Jr. is not entirely sure what the important rendezvous is all about. Maureen and Will Jr. are escorted to an underground bunker underneath the CIA headquarters. Minutes later, Frank Scarmuzzi enters the brightly lit room alone. "Hello, good morning." "Hello, Frank," Maureen asks. "Sounds as if something important has come up. What do you have for us today?" Scarmuzzi loads some digital images on a projector screen for them to view. An overhead real Earth map appears to be of the Gulf coastline pinpointing western Florida. One of the homes they see clearly marked is circled in red. Scarmuzzi explains why he is showing them a bird's eye view of the Naples Bay community in Florida. "We've had some strong surveillance in the area for about 10 days. We have been studying their every move. A window of opportunity came up on the water and orders were executed." Will Jr. feels like he shouldn't be in the room hearing this kind of national security type of intelligence. Maureen knows much more than Will about the subject matter on the screen as her chief of staff relays more information. "The intended target has been neutralized. We won't have to worry about any more interference in our upcoming presidency." Using a laser pointer, he indicates where the assassination took place. "Yesterday, a highly skilled gunman took out our friend Bernie Sharkey in this Bay Area right here." Will Jr. is flabbergasted by what his ears are hearing. He can't help but ask for more clarification. "Took out? Orders from whom?" Scarmuzzi's blue steel eyes look over at the next president. Will Jr. lets out a shriek. "My God! You knew about this?" With no visible remorseful reaction from his wife, he reaches out to Scarmuzzi to see if he's willing to disclose any more details. "What the hell happened?" "Sir, I'm not able to say much more, but he was fatally wounded in the back of his head by one of our snipers from approximately 200 yards away on his boat. I am sure you will hear the rest of the details very soon." Maureen rises from the chair and shakes Scarmuzzi's hands. "Would there be anything else, Madam President?" "No, not at this time, sir. Thank you, Patriot." "God bless your administration and God bless the United States," says Scarmuzzi. "I will send somebody down to show you both out. I will talk to you both in a few days. Not a word to anyone, you understand? You, me, and the room here." Will Jr. waits for Scarmuzzi to exit the room in utter disbelief. He turns to Maureen. "You took out Sharkey? You ordered Scarmuzzi's CIA death squad to kill him? Jesus, Maureen, the power has gone to your head already." He pauses in disgust. "Who are you? I don't think I know who my wife is anymore." The president-elect replies, "I am your wife, still. I am the protector of the free world now. And like I said, I took care of this little problem for you, for us, for our family." Will Jr. mumbles under his breath, his hand is cupping his face. "In the name of God, What have we become? The two of them stare aimlessly at each other. There's a knock at the door, and they quickly jump back into character, exiting the room in silence. As the news of the notorious detective's death makes it to the airways, TV reporters are shown interviewing a highly distraught Randall Sharkey. Between raw tears and his 20-something son standing by his side, he describes the setting and incident. My wife, my 2 children, and my beloved father were enjoying our last vacation day of Thanksgiving break together on my dad's boat. After being out to sea, they anchored in the middle of the Dollar Bay, where they often do because the waters are much calmer so the boat doesn't rock around. We were idling, enjoying some snacks and drinks after an outing, and noticed several bull sharks swimming close to the bow. It's kind of rare to see them in the bay. He continues, as we were watching the impressive sharks swim back and forth underneath the boat, we were in awe of a much larger great white surfacing with the other smaller sharks. Detective Randall Sharkey pauses his speech in front of the cameras to regain his composure. Everyone was leaning over the side observing the spectacle, and then we heard a crack or something like a pop. A bullet came whistling from one of the other nearby anchored boaters, hitting my father square in the back. Blood erupted and gushed all over his yellow shirt. We turned around, trying to figure out which boat or which direction that it came from. And seconds later, another pop and another whistle through the air. We just hit the decks, trying to save ourselves. It was chaos. The second wave of bullets struck my father in the back of the head and knocked him over the side of the boat. And then the sharks came swarming in. Randall loses it on television, sobbing. We couldn't jump in to save him. The sharks came from everywhere, like they were waiting, like they knew something was up. I'm pretty sure one was the great white. They tore him apart in a feeding frenzy, right in front of the family. A huge circular blood pool bubbled to the surface. It was beyond awful. And then we noticed a boat pulling away to the north out of the bay canals, but they were too far gone to get a second good look. I'm sure the other people anchored down that day must have seen something. Randall looks directly at the camera lens. I'm going to find the men who did this to my kid's grandfather. If it's the last thing I do in my life, I know my pop, my father, may have created a lot of enemies in his day, but someone's going to hang for this. This is all too much. In an ironic and ghastly twist of fate, the great Bernie Sharkey, a.k.a. the Shark, met his namesake that day and became part of the aquatic food chain. The great white shark from the shores of New Jersey had finally met his match with a shiver of predators owning much deadlier bites than he. Maureen knew she crossed a moral boundary and may have overstepped her executive power in trying to silence the investigations regarding her husband's past. But the deed had been done. The grief-stricken Randall Sharkey had other plans. The Acres little problem hadn't exactly gone away entirely yet. Randall refused to let his father's legacy die on the vine, or die in the Florida Gulf Bay as it played out, and continues on with his father's quest for the truth. He vows to take over the investigation of the murder of Austin Macaulay, adamant about bringing the perpetrators to justice. There was a new predator on the loose, out to get the acres. And that's it. That's the chapter. Hope you liked it. Can you imagine the amount of work going into writing one chapter? I wrote a whole book. You got to respect authors, man. If you've never written a book, don't be too critical about somebody else's book if you've never written one. But so the president-elect here has has a threat neutralized. Pretty amazing, huh? Sometimes the best fiction comes from real life, doesn't it, Bill? Or should I ask the First Lady Hillary Rodham about this? Hey, you stole my title. I guess we're even, right? Well, the new book will be out very soon. I estimate 2026 to get it all situated. And we'll have some fun trying to get some sales of this book next to the one written by Mr. James Pattison. I'm Rich Tilley. I'm Rich J. Tilley. And this will actually be my last book ever written with that name. From now on, every book I write in the future will be my pen name, RJ Writer. But for now, I'm signing off as the Rich J. Tilley. I am the author of the original First Gentleman. Thank you very much. We'll see you later.